Welcome back to Proxy, everybody, and today we're going to be doing a one-year channel update, and I'm going to be talking to you guys not only about the direction of the channel, but also some of the miniatures I will be selling in order to start a new project for the channel. So without further ado, let us go ahead and dive right into it and talk about, where I plan to move the channel in the next year or so. So, quick overview of what we're going to be talking about in today's video. I'm going to be talking to you guys about what's going on and what content I'm going to cover on the channel in the next months. I'm going to be talking to you guys about the direction of the channel and my goals within the next year, because we've just passed our first year milestone, which is awesome. We've just gotten to, about 28K subscribers, which is good. I was hoping to get to 3K by the end of the month, but it looks like we're going to be a little short, which is fine. It's not the biggest deal. Obviously, I want to reach as many people as possible within the Eldar community and even beyond so that, we can start to expand as a community. And as you guys know, the bigger we get as a community, the bigger voice we have. And of course, that means the more attention we get from Games Workshop. So even though it's not really that much, I hope in the future that we can have a significant enough voice to actually impact things down the road. Lastly, I will be talking about the painted Eldar miniatures for sale and my next painting project. All right, so what's going on and what content am I going to cover on the channel? So first of all, there are a couple of things currently going on which are coming to an end soon that I wanted to address. The first is the Eldar Knights Kickstarter. I started this, probably about 3 weeks ago now. And basically what it is it's a honest and true adaptation of the Eldar Knights from the 1990s into modern day 10th edition. So just like the Imperial Knights and the Chaos Knights have their own books, and they were once in the Epic, GW's Epic game, back in the 90s, I wanted to create that for Eldar. And, it's not an official GW product or anything like that. It's just a fan project that I hope to make for you guys available. So it looks like the Kickstarter is not really going to be successful. It's not going to reach its goal, which is fine. I know a lot of you did support it, and thank you very much for doing so. But my hope was that I could, kind of get enough from it to hire some artists to do art for the book and, have somebody, create custom STL files for 3D printing for them so that you guys wouldn't have to go out on your own and find stuff and stuff like that if you did actually want to play the Eldar Knights Index. So even if it doesn't reach his goal, though, I'm still going to, print the rules. I'm still going to play test it. I'm still going to do all that stuff. It's just probably not going to have, the polish of a real artist behind it, which obviously I'm not, right? So it's just mainly going to be the rules that are going to come out, play tested rules so you guys can use them. And then maybe down the road, someone will be able to provide that art, or maybe we'll have another Kickstarter with maybe a little bit of a lower goal with, somebody out there willing to do the work for just a little bit less. So we'll see how that goes. Reach out to me if you are an artist and you are interested in that so I can keep you in mind so that when we do have a successful Kickstarter, I have something to offer you. And as always, you guys can reach out to me on my channel email. Okay, so let's talk about the channel interactive campaign. So the channel interactive campaign is something that I've been doing for a little bit, and we've kind of seen a drop off in submissions over the last couple of weeks, which is normal. I figured this would happen in the later stages of a campaign. The campaign is going to have a narrative, which is going to link to the release of the Eldar Knights Kickstarter. So do stay tuned to that. I know there, isn't that many submissions, but either way, regardless of how the campaign goes, it is going to tie into the Eldar Knights Kickstarter that we're doing. So, if you are submitting games, that's great. I'm going to have another update this week on Wednesday as for the campaign. And then the following 2 weeks are going to wrap up the campaign. And that will be the end of this interactive campaign, but there may be more in the future depending on how much interest there is on the channel for it. Okay, so what about the content, right? Because that's what most of you guys are here for. Well, I'm going to be branching out into 2 different directions with the content on this channel because I do want to also cover competitive play analysis and do breakdowns on, the top performing lists and things like that. But I have to admit to you guys, it's not going to be the primary focus of the channel. The primary focus of my channel has always been to introduce newer Eldar players to the game and get them good at the game and, get them to be able to understand the units and stuff like that. It hasn't always been to cater to the competitive crowds. And even though I'm more than happy to provide competitive advice and, list building advice and other things to competitive players that are, on my Discord or in my channel, more than happy to do that. In fact, I enjoy doing that. It's not going to be a primary focus of most of my videos. So, I made a few videos recently that some of you guys kind of probably laughed at, some of you more competitive players, like, the Crimson Hunter video I made or the Storm Guardian video I made. And I still stand behind those videos. I think those two units are hidden gems in the Eldar Codex, and they will pop out eventually in competitive lists. Mark my words. But, as of now, they're not the most competitive units, and a lot of players are kind of scratching their heads wondering why I'm thinking those units are, even close to being considered for competitive play. And that's really because as an Eldar player, I really like to think outside of the box. I like to think about new unit combinations all the time. My mind's always running. I think it's boring just to have like maybe 5 or 6 units that we deem quote unquote really competitive and just play with those units. I think that's boring and stale. And there's a lot of depth to the Eldar Index, I think, that just didn't exist previously in past editions, especially when I used to play super competitively in 5th edition. Let me tell you, that 4th edition codex that we had throughout the entirety of 5th edition, by the way, we didn't get a new codex for one whole edition. There was a time where Eldar was just very, very, neglected as a competitive faction. Just keep that in mind, those of you who are playing, 8th edition and 9th edition and 10th edition and thinking, well, what is Proxy Hammer talking about? Eldar have always been good. Well, back in 5th edition, they weren't so great. And when I played competitively back then, there was only really 1, maybe 2 standout units in the entire codex. And then there was, a bunch of units that were just subpar. And, there was a couple of units you included just because you had to fill in the points. But anyway, I digress just a little bit. I do want to talk about competitive play and, talk about, competitive lists, analysis, and breakdowns. It's not just going to be something that's every week, right? So don't expect to see that every week. We may see it, a couple times a month maybe, but not every day. Now, the other thing I want to do with the channel that is, I think, a better community building aspect is, of course, the Armies on Parade and community spotlights. I've done this a little bit before here and there, but it hasn't been a serious thing on the channel. It's been a once in a while thing. And mostly this is just because I haven't really gotten a ton of, painted model submissions from a lot of you. So here's what I am planning to do. I'm planning to, at some point within the next month, announce a couple of new videos that I want to make, a community spotlight covering painting. Basically just get maybe 20 or 30 samples from the community of different models they've painted and just put them on a showcase for YouTube to see and just show kind of, what the Eldar community has done with their armies. And then what I want to do is I want to select a particular person, from the channel Discord or channel Patreon to talk with on the channel about their army, maybe some background to their army or why they picked Eldar up, and just kind of talk in a more casual sense, not in a competitive gaming sense, but just in a casual hobbying sense. I think that would be a really refreshing thing to hear on the channel, and I plan to do that very soon. All right, so what about the direction of my channel and the goals in the next year? So I'm going to be branching out into some Dark Eldar content. So this isn't because I'm running out of content. It's simply because I realize that the Dark Eldar aren't doing so well, and I think we need to help out our Dark cousins a little bit because they're pretty much at the bottom rung of competitive play, and they're being called a very unenjoyable to play faction by a lot of Dark Eldar players. And this is really sad because, as some of you guys know, I used to be a Dark Eldar player. I used to play Dark Eldar quite frequently in 5th edition and 6th edition. And, I eventually did sell the army because I just figured I just enjoyed the craft rolled Eldar more. But I still like the Dark Eldar, and I want to kind of branch out and talk about their content a little bit because I think maybe some Dark Eldar players out there need some help, to put it lightly. And yeah, they're basically the bottom faction in competitive play right now. So that's pretty sad. I think they should be a little bit higher, obviously, and I'm hoping that some of my content will help some Dark Eldar players out there learn the faction a little more. I have been playing Ynnari. I am familiar with Dark Eldar, so I'm going to be branching out there. And I'm going to be trying some different Dark Eldar lists, out at my local game store, proxying probably most of the models, but, just trying to find ways in which the Dark Eldar can be effective. And this content will also help out Ynnari players who, plan to use Dark Eldar units in their own armies. Now, as for the channel goals, my rough goals are to reach about 6,000 subscribers on the channel and improve the quality of my streams. So as you guys know, some of my streams have not been the best quality. I'm using my iPhone to record most of my streams. So I plan to get some actual equipment for the channel so that I can be able to do that. Which has been a little bit difficult because, I don't have the best equipment. I'm not the most tech savvy person out there. So, every time I try to start a stream on my computer and not on my phone, it ends up crashing. So I am going to try to learn a little bit more about that and how I can, stream better quality videos for you guys so we can talk about more stuff and it's, not so janky. I also plan on solidifying a good way to bring you battle reports. In the past, I've basically done battle reports, like a turn-by-turn kind of thing on Paint, where I essentially just show you an image with, triangles and circles, and those represent the different units on the battlefield. Now, I am probably going to still do that, but I want to be able to eventually tangibly give you guys a better view of the battlefield. It's a little bit tough because my local gaming group, the people I play with, don't really like to be on camera too much, so I have to be careful about that. But I'm talking with a couple of them and trying to figure out a way that we can do that so that it's not invasive, but so I can also get some content on the channel for you guys. And then that way you can actually see some of my games on the tabletop. Lastly, I do want to talk to you guys about the community post I posted the other day about the painted Eldar miniatures for sale and my next project. So I am officially selling my bronze and green painted Eldar miniatures as it was intended for use in an escalation league that is now over. So this army scheme was specifically designed for the escalation league. The escalation league required that it have some sort of lore behind it. And it wasn't a strong requirement, but it was suggested that people go out and buy new miniatures so they could, paint up their armies slowly over time. Well, this happened during the summer, and as you guys know, 10th edition came during the summer. We had planned to do it much, further out, but the Escalation League kind of crossed over with 10th edition, and a lot of the members of the league lost interest. We started playing 10th edition rules, and the Escalation League essentially fell apart. The winner of the league was supposed to get a Lionel Johnson miniature, but that never happened. We kind of just called it quits, so that's what happened there. But, I continued painting the bronze Eldar because I kind of liked the scheme, but I want to start something new. Now, something you guys might know about me just on the channel is I like to jump from army to army. And the same exact thing applies to my painting. I don't like painting the same thing over and over and over again. It's incredibly boring, and as I'm getting busier in my adult life, I really don't have time for it. I would like to sit down and paint something unique each and every time, so I don't have to paint the same things over and over again, right? Now, I loved painting these guys, but it's becoming kind of a pain to do the same colors over and over and over again with different shades of, metallic bronzes and golds. And I don't think I can continue to do this up until my goal of, having about 3,000 points painted. My other army that I use for, gaming purposes is very old. It's very outdated. A lot of the models are, out of production models, or they are, painted when I was a younger person. So they're not, the quality of them isn't that great. They are also very recognizable by my local community, so I can't just put them on the channel and, have them there because that would out a lot of the people that I'm playing against. And then, that could cause problems, right? Because, my gaming group really enjoys their privacy and they're a really cool group of guys, and when I started this channel, they just asked me very nicely if, I could keep their stuff off YouTube. So I'm going to obviously honor that. And so I am going to sell the bronze Eldar that I have painted. I'm not going to sell all of it that I have, but I am going to sell a large portion of it. Now, this retails for about $700, and I'm selling it for $1,000, which is, considering the paint job and considering, that they're well built and all that stuff and all the extra bits that you're going to get if you do purchase it. But I will also consider offers from the community, as I really just want somebody to get enjoyment out of it. So even if I have to sell it for, $800 or even, $700, that's okay. I just want somebody to enjoy it out there and, have fun with it and stuff like that and take good care of it. So with the purchase of this also comes a new combat Eldar patrol. So, Eldar combat patrol, I should say. And basically I just found one of these in the back in the garage. I already have all the models from the combat patrol, so I don't really need it. I certainly don't want just more extra stuff that, I'm not going to get to painting or anything like that. So I am going to throw that in to this deal as well. So you'll be getting all the painted miniatures shown in the pictures, and you'll also be getting an Eldar combat patrol. And yeah, you can reach me at my email if you are interested in, buying this set. And, it would be a cool thing to know that a member of the community has been able to get enjoyment out of this. And like I talked about a little bit before, I am going to be starting a new Eldar project so that I can stream this with you guys. And it's essentially going to be a build-up from, 0 to 2,000 points of an Eldar Alliance. So that means basically if you guys don't know this, Eldar Alliance is an alliance of the craft worlds. So each specialist unit from the craft world, each unit that craft world is known for, will be painted in that craft world's colors. So Aspect Warriors and their transports will be from the Biel-Tan. The Autarch will probably be from the Biel-Tan as well. Wraith units will be from Iyanden. Ranger units will be from Alatok. And Wind Rider units will be from the same Hain. And, down the line, I think, Psychers and Guardians and stuff like that will be from the Uthway craft world. So that's going to be a cool project, and I hope to, kind of build up from there, probably around 2,000 points to start out over the next year. And just, maybe more. We'll see. We'll see how many models I buy. And then that way, I can paint these guys with you on stream. If I'm painting some Guardians, it'll be Uthway Guardians. If I'm painting some Aspect Warriors, they'll be, Biel-Tan Aspect Warriors. So it'll be a cool project and a cool thing to do with you guys. And then that way I can also be motivated to paint. Because one of the things I was lacking is the motivation to paint these guys. Because, I love the paint scheme, but as I told you guys in the community post when I mentioned that I was selling this army, is because I simply have already done this. I used to have a Signar army that was the exact same colors, and I'm starting to see the similarities, and it's just, I've been there and I've done that basically. So I want to branch out and do something new. So yeah, if you are interested in purchasing the miniatures, you can reach out to me on the channel email. I will leave that in the description for you guys, and I will also leave it at the end of this video. All the models will be extremely well packed so that they don't break during transit, and I will make sure that they arrive safely. And I will also include any extra bits or anything like that came with the original kits so that you guys can swap them if you want to. Alright, so thank you so much for continuing to support the channel, and if any of you have any video ideas or want me to cover something, let me know and shoot me an email at proxy.hammer1@gmail.com. And thank you for giving me a great first year on YouTube. So thank you once again to all my patrons and supporters who have supported the channel over the last month. Your help has greatly improved the channel and helped it grow significantly. And without you guys, we really wouldn't be where we are today. If you do want to become a patron and help support the channel, I have free trials activated. A free trial will grant you permanent access to our Discord community, which is a community of Eldar players and enthusiasts who like talking about strategies, tactics, and of course hobbying. I will leave the link for those in the description. Like previously mentioned at the beginning of this video, I do have an Eldar Knights Kickstarter going on. If you want to support that, you can go ahead and get the link in the description. And lastly, I do have an Amazon affiliate link for you guys in the description if you want to pick up some discounted Eldar miniatures on Amazon, or if you want to pick up some Eldar inspired apparel. I will also leave that link to my channel store page in the description as well. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching. And have some great games this weekend. Have a good one, everybody. See you later.